Call this meeting to order. Does anyone wish to disclose pecuniary interest for the agenda of this meeting or for minutes of meeting which you are not in attendance? Remind everyone to shut off their electronic devices, no recording, acceptance or transmission of data. Do you wish to record?
Yes.
Permission is granted. And it is moved by Councillor Mota, seconded by Councillor Goodwill. Resolved, Council hereby consider sections 4 through including 8 of Part 1 consent agenda as read and adopt the items. Any councillor wish to have any questions regarding any items set forth in this resolution? Councillor Middleton.
8.4, please, Mr. Mayor.
8.4. Councillor Mota.
Where are we here? 8.9, 8.10, 8.11.
9, 10, 11. Councillor Barrett.
Those were mine.
Councillor Goodwill.
So we'd like to do 8.8.
Sorry?
8.8.
8.8, that's, yep. And 8, 12, and 13.
I know you went by me, but I should talk about 5.3 in my other latest job.
You should talk or you want to talk?
Well, I should talk, because I was asked to talk, but I've been ignoring it.
We will start with Councillor Barrett, 5.3.
Okay, with Northwestern Health Unit, they've got an expert panel going on with this new organization. It's not new, but it's been around for a while, called Public Health. And what they're trying to get involved with now, they're trying to get Northwestern Health Unit all upset, and the LHINs, the Integrated Other Health System, and they want to put all three of us together into one big monster plan. So it's gone through umpteen different people and different organizations. AMO has gone to it. AMO don't like it. So what they are now doing with the Northwestern Health Unit is trying to get all the municipalities in our region here to write a letter not agreeing with this expert panel on public health, because if we ever have that happen to us, we're bound to lose an awful lot of services. We're going to be having a lot of cuts in the various Northwestern Health Unit. We might disappear. And it's all up in the air right now, but it's down the road and in the future for thoughts, and we should sort of nip it in the bud now. And so some letters have come back from the mayors of our municipalities to say that they're sort of taking a stand and agreeing with AMO's stand, that they really don't like this expert panel's report. So they were going to send the letter, which we got on file, and also the copy of some of the highlights of that report. And I think you would find out, if you read all that, you will find out we're bound to be losing quite a bit if we went along with the public health. So that's all I have to say. If this council decides they want to agree with AMO and go along with the 44 municipalities and send a letter sort of that we don't like that report and it may jeopardize us of services, which it will. And basically Thunder Bay will be at the big hub. Kenora is bound to lose big time, because what they're looking at is only a few of this public health taking over a bigger area. And Thunder Bay is named as the one that's going to be in charge, and all the smaller areas will lose out on services. That's all I'm saying.
Any comments, concerns? Councillor Middleton?
I believe there was one other organization, and they've got something to do with the DSATs, Mr. Mayor. One of the alphabet organizations, OCFFWRK or something, that pretty well, and they do represent a substantial part of DSAP work and various other parts of Ontario, and they pretty well mirrored what AMO had said. So and part of their reasoning for it is that we have this expert panel that's deciding this, but they really haven't talked to anyone it's going to concern.
Any other comment? Councilor Willie?
So if I read this right, Lynn's isn't showing up as a leader, right?
LINS is one part of it. There's
Yeah.
3 different health
So now
groups.
the expert health panel is bringing this stuff forward. So do we want to vote in favor of or against?
And we,
No, the motion.
the,
Against the expert panel's recommendation.
Yeah. Against
okay,
that.
So we know that.
we don't want to lose our services or our people that are working today. We don't want Thunder Bay as our big hub.
My concern is not geographical. I have sometimes a lot of difficulties with expert panels. They may work well in Toronto. In the north, I find that practical panels work a lot better. And I think this is a case where it's just not practical. My real concern, my overlying concern is the fact that inevitably I'm certain that public health dollars will get swallowed up by primary care dollars.
Exactly.
And that is a real concern to me.
That's exactly what will happen.
You know, the fact that jobs and so on and so forth, they come and go, but the delivery of service to the person on the street is more critical than listening to some expert from Toronto. It makes, in all my years of public civic duty, this is incredulous that someone would think that this would work in the north. I'm strongly against the incorporation of these bodies. I strongly support AMO's position. I think it's in the best interest of Red Lake to also voice her opinion in that regard.
So that's what we're sort of asking, if a letter from the Council of the Municipality of Red Lake could be sent.
I think it has to be more than a letter. I think it should be a resolution.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my
Yep.
suggestion. So we'll formulate a resolution for next council meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Might I suggest, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, please.
If we can formulate a resolution and we do have to meet next Monday, that would be just as easy as
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yep. Throw it on the agenda. Get it out of the way. We'll get it in the mail. And we'll copy all the appropriate people up to and including the premier.
Yeah.
Councilor Middleton had a question regarding
8.4.
8.4. And your question. I'm sorry?
It strikes me that if we were to pass this resolution, we're short-circuiting our budget process. Our budget process clearly states this would be capital spending, I believe, and our department heads should have their capital budgets in by the end of September. For us to go ahead and pass this resolution, what we're saying is our budget process doesn't mean anything. We're just going to go ahead with this. So I think we're shooting ourselves in the foot with this. And it may be, and maybe Councillor Motor might have an idea, it may be just misunderstanding on the part of the committee, and they may need an explanation of how the budget process works from either yourself or the department head there.
Can I comment?
Please do.
It was recommended through the department head to bring this forward. So with the Parks and Rec Committee to have something established, almost like a pre-approved type of work to be done prior to the budget process. So through our meetings with Parks and Rec, discussion on different playground equipment and equipment that is actually needed in Mackenzie Island, it became known that we should formulate something along these lines, not to exceed a certain dollar amount, and then some chosen piece of equipment would take place through Parks and Rec. But this was, my belief, initiated through staff, through Parks, to go into the budget. So I think the budget process is of the utmost importance, especially when we're dealing with these things.
And from our perspective, meaning myself, the treasurer, who worked the most on the budget process, is yes, that this should be part of the overall budget process, not approved at this time.
So I would suggest we pull this and vote on it separately.
Gee, we have two options. We have three options. One is to approve it. One is to amend the motion. And the third is to vote on it separately and let the chips fall where they may. I would, go ahead.
I was just going to say maybe a recommendation would be through a change or an amendment, would be to take it back to the department through the budget process, just as something as simple as that. To be determined through the budget process. Just food for thought. Not to say something may not come of it, but through that budget process, it can be worked out through the CIO and the budgeting process of the Parks and Rec department.
Yeah. I would, if I was to suggest an amendment, I would amend after the word equipment, add three words to be considered.
Are we talking in the first paragraph?
No, second paragraph, sorry, after the word equipment.
Can you say it one more time, please?
I'll read the operative clause.
Okay.
Be it further resolved that council hereby approves to include the cost for this playground equipment to be considered in the 2018 budget.
And you may not have the answer to this, Mr. Mayor, but I'm sure the treasurer Mark does. Are not these items already in the budget as of the end of September, or the proposed budget?
There is,
I don't have the answer.
no, from our perspective, yes, it is. We've had a series of meetings, and this is part of the capital submission.
Then I suggest we defeat that motion.
Vote on it separately.
I'll call that vote at this point unless there's further discussion or debate on it.
We're having a separate vote on this?
Yeah.
So,
Because the item is already included in the operating,
yeah,
in the proposed budget, proposed capital budget that's upcoming,
it's included.
in the proposed budget. Which means it's on the table.
For
If-
consideration.
If it is considered, if council approves that budget in due course, then it'll be approved.
So this is irrelevant.
You're right, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And it protects the integrity of the budget process.
Okay.
All those in favor of this motion? Those opposed? That's defeated. Thanks very much for bringing that up. 8.8.
I think that was me.
Yeah.
I guess.
That was me, and I'll, that was the previous one I just returned from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so what is this? We just returned, but we never did make a motion to this.
No.
So this is after the fact.
Well, this is it's after the fact, follow up.
We're not going again.
No. Those dates are over.
Okay.
This is housekeeping, I guess.
Correct. Correct.
It's all part of the original program that we
Put it
signed.
down at housekeeping.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
I have a question on that.
Yeah,
Do we need to have Brenda's name on there?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what the,
I'm not sure.
I don't know what our agreement is. I don't have it in front of me.
I'm just not sure if we.
If it is, we'll have, if it's a necessity, well, if it's a necessity, we'll put it on for Monday.
Yeah, special, oh, okay.
We'll follow through.
I have a question.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
I have a question on just
Please.
that last comment about that. When we're usually doing that Federation 8.8 any other time, we always wrote down that we are approving the mayor and the CAO. I remember that very clearly. Those two names were on it.
Okay.
And in this case, we're being asked to approve, or it's happened, it's over and done with. We're doing the mayor, and we're also doing another person left. It's all history. Everybody knows that that Brenda went with you, and she's the executive secretary. So I can't see why her name is not going to be on this
On
document.
here? We could amend this to include it on here.
That's
That
right.
would be my
She
suggestion.
left. She went.
All right. We could do that, and it would just say the agenda item.
Because if Mark has to go on as CAO every time he leaves town, like with yourself
So
or
you're going to
anybody
move
else.
that amendment?
Sure, I'll move
And
that
second it?
amendment. That should be on that.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Done. Thank you. Easy.
Done.
Easy.
And the reason it wasn't on the last council meeting, because the dates hadn't been hadn't been set. It was like, we weren't sure. It may have been next month, but then they moved it up for a whole host of reasons. And because it was such short notice, and as we know, other issues came up.
Feedback, Councilor.
Councilor Moda, 8-9, the FCM annual conference trade show to be held in
Yes, thank
May,
you.
June.
Realizing the good relationship that we do have with FCM and understanding the importance of all that, I'm still wondering, do we need to attend this distance to go to an FCM trade show? And is there any really importance for us to attend this in Halifax?
I guess my answer, I'm not sure it matters where it is. I think it's the content of the conference and the program itself. That, I can tell you from being active at it for many, many years, it's one person cannot cover it. It's just too, the program is too in depth. Where was it last year? Ottawa. So, yeah. The only good thing about the FCM one is that it's in one locale, maybe 2 or 3 buildings, but it's right there. So
And maybe excuse my ignorance on this, but I've never had the opportunity to experience that. So I only hear what is presented when it comes back to us, so I really don't have the entire flavor of that.
yeah, it's,
So I'm just questioning, it's quite a distance to travel, and I'm just wondering if it's really a necessity on behalf of council that we attend.
I think it is. I think the value is there. Whether it's the program value, the connection value, the learning, the networking, call it what you want. It's really, you don't do a lobby effort nearly as much. I have that opportunity because of the whiskers I've had, but you don't have specific slot times, lobbying efforts like we do at AMO Good Roads, for instance. But the program itself, the in-depth, there's just no way that two of us in the past have been able to be at all the programs that are necessary, especially in the last 2 years. There's been a real emphasis on the inclusion of the indigenous communities, which of course is quite important to us. And sometimes you've got concurrent sessions, and you don't really want to miss those. So, in fact, that was the last one was how I struck upon the relationship with PIC on the landfill. And ironically, it was as soon as I got out of that meeting, I full marked, and we were on it right that very day. So it's things like that that's quite critical. In fact, it's from a net benefit to us. I think the FCM program is probably more beneficial than, respectfully, I say. That's good
I
news.
wholeheartedly agree, knowing the dealings that we've had around this table with FCM.
Yeah.
I get that. I was just questioning.
Yeah, and sometimes geography comes into it, but not, in fact, I would, frankly, I would hope that the CAO would put it in his budget this year that I think because of we know the flavor of, I want to choose my words carefully, the importance of being an all-inclusive community is more prevalent now to Canada, and particularly to Red Lake, as we look at certainly our precious neighbors to the north and south. And from what I know of what's going to be on the program this year, I hope you have the opportunity to get into your budget. Anyway, I'm sorry, Councillor, I didn't see your hand up there.
Okay, I'd like to make a comment on this. I see 2 spots left here on this agenda thing here. I would like to see, and maybe it's because I came on board here in 2013, and I was part of one of the nicest conferences I'd ever existed in umpteen years before that I was on councils, or on municipalities, that we went as a group of 3. We went as the mayor, we went as one councillor, and we went as a CAO. We all split up and did different things. We all came back from different impressions of it. And I know it's going to cost a lot of money. Too bad it's in Halifax. Too bad we didn't all think of jumping on board when it was in Winnipeg. It would have been a lot closer, and we would have known today the value of FCM even deeper than what we know sitting around this table tonight. But I would like to see, and maybe I'm going to be called a spendthrift on this, but I think in reality of what's coming up in 2018, an election year, there is always a great possibility that a lot of us that maybe gone before in the past, or maybe we'll get the opportunity this time to go, may not be sitting at this table in 2018. And I feel it's very important that the CAO goes. Not just for the content, but if we should happen to get demolished in 2018 in October, then at least the CAO hopefully will be holding the fort, and if this comes up again, he will be able to say, yes, I went in 2018 and this is what I got out of it, and if it's to stay on board and we're to continue on it, Lord knows where, the next year, fine, and if he finds that it's not valuable to us, then he will tell that new council and they can make a decision not to go after 2018. So I would really like to see 3 go in there, even if we have to take somebody away from one of the other conferences that we've gone to umpteen time. I would like to see a trio go down and come back with something in writing, and also we'll have Mark, because let's hope he's not planning on ever leaving us for a while, but the rest of us could possibly be gone, because it's the public's pleasure whether we stay or not.
Good comment, and I concur. I thought last year Mark should have gone, just because of the content of the program. Councilor Miller.
Might I add to what the mayor said? The FCM conference is, in a way, it's like others, in a way, it's unlike others. You can stay as busy as you want, you can attend what you want, but there's such a vast variety of things to attend. You can start, 6 in the morning and call her a night at 10 at night. Study tours are fantastic. But the other thing is, and I think the mayor already touched on it a bit, every year there are more programs being proposed that you learn about there that deal with our Aboriginal neighbors. And I think there'll likely be some more new ones this year. Mark and I, 2 years ago, was it Mark? Went to Winnipeg for, and this was an FCM sponsored one, for partnerships between Aboriginal communities and non-Aboriginal communities. That was sponsored through FCM. The more exposure you have with FCM, I won't say to, I will say with, the more opportunities also there are for FCM dollars, be it through the Green Fund. I believe we got money for the airport, wasn't it, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, we got money. Yeah, that was nice.
The fields, the
$400,000
brown
touch.
fields over here, which we never accessed, but and they're a fairly good funding body if you're a good FCM member too.
I think just recently we did the asset management.
Yes.
We've applied, yes.
Streetscaping.
I don't know where the improvement plan. There's variations of it, so. Again, it's a good organization. We've been a member for, I don't know how long. Then we were off for a few years and then we went back. I think just the grants we've gotten alone from FCM is
On the event center feasibility study.
that. Then we've received on the airport, I believe, $400,000 cash grant, non-repayable. So,
Was there any for this building, Mr. Mayor?
no, not this building. This building was a partnership with the old Red Hook School Board. And the previous Township of Golden. So, anyway, I'm assuming you're still interested in going, as you indicated to me. So. And it is a good, like I say, it's one of the better conferences from. You don't get your 15 minutes in the door and out, bumps rush. Councilor?
Yeah, I disagree with Councilor Barron. I don't think we need 3 people to go to Halifax. I think 2 would be sufficient in regards to the mayor and CAO, or the mayor is not attending, the CAO and deputy mayor or whoever is chosen. I don't think we need 3 people to go. And if the whole flavor of this was the CAO to attend, then there's no reason we can not be inclusive of Mr. Burnett attending along with one other representative here.
Councilor Gill.
I'm in full agreement with Councilor Moda.
Okay.
And it's actually, between you and me, like our travel and committees and whatever, growing. And if you ever look at our budgets for travel and council spending, it's like going in bounds. And I think the taxpayer is to be considered. You know, when we make decisions, it's for them we're supposed to be operating. And the citizens too. I mean, you don't have to be a taxpayer. So I guess I'm agreeing with Councilor Moore, 2 people should be the max.
But also, we want to be clear. No, you're absolutely right. We have to be prudent in our attendance. But we've also cut, from the time that you were on council before, we've probably cut our travel budget by half. I mean, you know, at one time, we used to, don't forget, we had 7 members then.
Quadruple.
Now, it's, you know, we used to send 5 or 6 people to Good Roads and AMO, and, you know,
No, true enough, that was.
that's what happened in the past, because we were all there. So I think we've come a long ways, and we've been quite prudent in our travel. Councilor Bear.
Then if we're going to go along that way, I would like to see those 2 spots filled with the mayor and filled with the CAO. Because I still am very strong that the CAO should be there this year. And I feel that, and I've already said it before, the reason why. Because if something should happen, the rest of us are not here, then we are putting the weight on his shoulders to explain to the new group of people what's going on. And if you can't go, then the deputy mayor and CAO goes. You know, as your delegate, if something happens, you get something else coming up, then the deputy mayor is the next one to go with CAO.
Anyone else?
I would ask then, if that be the case, if we're going to be prudent on this particular conference, we'd be prudent on all of them.
No.
And I won't mention Roma Ogra, where all of a sudden we have 3 people going to. Or did I mention it? I guess I did.
Not inadvertently, I might add.
No, not at all. And that I dropped out of Ogra for that very reason, because we had 2 people going to Roma, 1 going to Ogra. And our resolution clearly states 2 councillors. And we agreed in our committee of the whole meeting, 1 councillor to Roma, 1 to Ogra. So let's be prudent with them all, not just 1.
That's a good point.
I'd like to compliment Councillor Middleton on his comment, and I think it's 100%. And the only thing we have to be careful of, if you drag your name off the list because there's 4 people supposedly going and there's already 5, and if I take my name off the list, I want somebody to step up and say, and the reason I took my name off the list was to save the taxpayers money because it was overdone. And then somebody else stepped up and went, and we had the same number anyway. You know, it's just not, we got to be responsible. So I do agree with you, and then I'm bugging you.
So what am I hearing from the floor? We have to get this resolved.
Are we on this one?
On this one.
Okay, on this one, I would like to see the mayor and the CAO on this one. And if something happens, you can't go, we have to have a designate, and we all know who that's going to be. The only thing I'll make a comment on, the end comment on that, is I think it should have been more than just 1 person go along with you for 5 years. And I can speak on that for at least 5 years, it's always been only 1 person. So that's why I think it's very important this year the CAO be the 1 person that goes with you.
Councilor Gould.
I'm okay.
Meeting.
I don't want to say nothing. Frustrated. I'm good away this. But I think it should say 2 councillors I'm agreeing with. I don't, or no, I agree with the CAO and the mayor. I don't agree with CAO not going. I think we should.
It's his first time.
I'll bow to the will of the majority. Keeping in mind that I will be having a very close eye on travel from here on in.
That's good.
Good.
Very good.
Okay. So noted. Halifax to your Falls.
Councilor Moore.
Councilor Moore.
I was pleased to see KDME's in Ear Falls.
But we can't go to that either, probably, even though it's handy.
Why can't we?
We just said we were cutting budget.
We're driving a vehicle.
Who's going to your Falls?
I would be interested in going to Ear Falls.
I can go to your falls.
I think we should all go to your falls. If it's a friendly neighbor, it's not gonna take that long to go to your falls.
Friendly neighbor has nothing to do with it. You can go to your falls because you can go there 3/4 an hour there, 3/4 an hour back.
It's
I'm
not gonna
going with you.
break,
You drive way too fast.
it's not gonna break the budget for all of us to go to your falls.
Sure, that's one I'm not around.
I bet you we get opposition. I'm waiting for Sandy's opposition on that.
I've been a proponent from day one of all counselors going to KDMA.
So,
Likewise, and I wouldn't change that.
sounds good.
From,
Yeah.
from a staff perspective, we have two names there. Of course, put myself, the CAO there, but I'd like to keep that other one open. There might be an opportunity for the clerk to attend, or even perhaps the treasurer. So let's look at the agenda first before we add that finally.
You good with that?
Okay.
Yep.
That's February.
February 1-3.
1-3.
Amo?
That's me again, sorry.
Yep.
Okay, we're on travel talk tonight. So, the reason I'm bringing this up, I know it's not till next August, but I couldn't recall what transpired when we had a discussion here about Roma and Ogra, and there was some switching of council travel, and my belief was we were going to discuss EMO separately, but when we talked about past travel, I think Councillor Middleton wasn't scheduled to go to Ogra, but you're going to
We were
Roma,
scheduled.
or is it reversed? I can't recall.
I can, if you want me to answer that.
Sure.
Traditionally, what we've done ever since you've been on councilors, 2 councilors went to AMO,
Correct.
2 went to Oberrola.
Correct.
Next year, they switched.
Correct.
The next year, they switched again. And behold and lo, the year after that, back they went again. So last year, Councillor Barron and I, which was one pair, attended AMO.
Right.
My understanding was, as I mentioned earlier, that this year we would be attending Ogra-Roma.
Right.
They split the 2. Last year, I think we went to just Ogra.
Correct.
This year, we had a discussion at Committee of the Whole. And came out of there, my understanding was, with one councillor going to Roma, one going to Ogra.
Right.
When it came time to put names to it the following week, at council meeting, we had 2 names for Roma and 1 for Ogra. So as I say, I have consequently dropped out. We have
So
no
that-
councillor going to Ogra now.
I believe it was 2-2.
I don't think so.
I believe it
I
was
thought you were
I
saying
thought it
that to
was
go to
2
Ogra.
as well.
2 and 2,
We have-
as we'll call them.
Which 2 were going to Ogra?
You and Jack. You and Jack and Fred and I was going to Roma.
Yeah.
Sign
Did you say you were going to Ogra?
this year.
Yeah.
Ogra. You go to Ogra.
Well, that makes it even a bigger lie.
I'm pretty convinced it was 2-2 that came out of that meeting.
Yeah, correct. That's what I was.
And I believe it was you 2 for Roma, you 2 for Good Roads.
Yeah.
So talking about EMO, I've only been there once, so I wasn't sure if it was my turn as a council member to go to EMO
Yeah.
on recollection.
Sounds like she's a free-for-all this year to me.
I wouldn't say it's a free-for-all.
Well, we've gone from 2 to over Roma to 4 with no resolution to support it.
Well, there's 2
The
separate.
resolution was.
We had
It was.
resolutions.
Yeah, but there's still a resolution we have that says 2. Because I checked the other day incidentally. So if we're talking about less travel, I'm a bit confused how when you go from 2 to 4, it's less.
My belief was, because of the second conference, this is how it all got jumbled. But I am very willing to save the taxpayers' dollars, and I will eliminate my name from whatever I'm going to, Roma or Ogra, whatever that is, and we can change that. I have no problem with that at all. So there, you're down one. Anybody else?
So
want to
you're
step
down
forward?
2, because I eliminated
He's already,
from
he's already
Ogra.
done his bit.
You limited yourself from Ogra. So just do something. That's good. So who's going to Ogra now?
I guess you were.
You are.
So I'd be very
I think
happy.
you indicated that's the one you had wanted to go to.
Yeah.
So I'd be very happy to withdraw my name from Roma and put my name to go down to Amo. That's fine.
And it was supposed to be you anyway. If we did this 2-2 bit, because Sandy and I went to Amo last year, so it was supposed to be you two this year. If we're doing the switcheroo.
So,
I'll go to Amo, I'm gonna pull from Ogra, you guys figure out what you wanna do.
So you're not going to Okra next?
Carol, I'm not traveling for the sake of traveling.
Well, Amo is in Ottawa, it's not in Toronto, and Okra is in Toronto.
So what's wrong with Ottawa?
No, I just said, you usually want to go to Toronto, that's all I've heard for the last 4 years, that you want to go to
let's,
Toronto.
we'll stick to the agenda here. So we've got, you're going to Roma.
I'm going to Roma.
You guys.
And Fred was going to go with me, but now that he's deleted that idea.
All right. So I need 2 names for him.
I would be interested in Amo.
I would be interested in Amo.
Anyone else interested in Amo?
I think, Sandy, are you going to anything at all? It's none of my business, but I think if you should go to something. You're not, you don't like Amo? Ottawa, Amo? You don't like,
There's already 2 going.
There's 2 requests. If we get more than 2, we'll have to do a straw vote or.
Yeah, what do you do, throw names in that?
That's what I mean. What do we do here?
Well, I don't have to travel this year. I'm fine staying back. I don't have to go to any conference or anything.
No, it's
I'm perfectly fine with that.
it's
Councillor Goodwillie can go to Amo and Oprah, and Councillor Barron can go to Roma. So, there you go.
run that by me again.
Councillor Middleton said he's not traveling anywhere this year,
Right.
correct?
Yeah. And you said the same thing.
Councillor Goodwillie said he's going to go to Ogra. Councillor Barron said she's going to go to Roma. So what's up for discussion is Amo. I said I would go. Councillor Goodwillie said he would go. So if we're at a crossroads here, I am fine to withdraw my name and not travel at all and stay
It's
back
not a
to
total crossroads. He's
Why
going
should
to
he go to
Ogra.
2?
She's going to Roma.
That's fine.
You're going to Good Roads. You're going to Roma.
I'm going to
So that
Roma.
leaves 2 for Amo. So why don't you? Then
Well,
everybody.
it was Counselor. I'm still keep going back to this, we were taking turns. Which is what we've done for 3 years. I don't know why it would change in the 4th year.
So where's the fly in the ointment?
Oh, sorry.
Well, Councillor Middleton discussed earlier, because of our discussion on FCM going to Halifax, that we should stay congruent with council's choice in one member of council going to these. So I'm trying to create some positive change here to save the taxpayers some
I don't know
dollars.
if it's positive change, but it's.
Well, it's not really positive. You still got Jack going to 2 and you're going to nothing, and neither is Sandy going to
We only have
nothing.
2 councillors traveling.
He's the one who's supposed to be saving us money.
Well, you know what? I'll
I'm
go
fine.
along with what Freddie's going. I don't have to travel till that, for this next year, I don't give a shit. Excuse me for swearing.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No, but if that makes it easier, it's good enough.
We could make life simple. You could just go to one, you go to one, you go to one.
Everybody goes to one.
I'm not going
Everybody goes to
nowhere.
one.
Whatever works.
So easy, 4 people, 4 things, everybody gets one. How difficult can that be?
So what is it now? Is it Ogra,
This is-
Roma, Amo, FCM?
That's the way it,
There's a famous poem called Who's on First?
All I'm saying is, it was my understanding that AMO would be Counselor Mota and Counselor Goodloe, since they were over last year.
Why don't we just go?
nobody goes anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
There's some grown-ups in the room here. Your desire is FCM. Your desire is AMO. Your desire was Good Roads. Your desire is Roma. We're all covered up.
Wonderful. That's our desire.
But then that's going back to 3 people traveling FCM again, which
No.
was the initial issue.
Well, which I think bears a lot of merit.
Huh. Isn't that
Not only from
interesting?
a content point, but from, as Councillor Barron alluded to, the continuity point. And that way, everything's covered off, Red Lake's at the table, and we move on with our agendas.
So if that's the case, then we need to go back to that prior, which one was it? So
FCM,
many numbers here. 8-9.
we go back to
But I
this,
thought Councilor Middleton didn't want to travel this year.
we go back to FCM again and it's
Counselor Middleton didn't say
smuggled
that.
in
Oh,
there.
I'm sorry. He said he doesn't want 3 people going to Ogra Roma.
So I think, well, back to back, you mean. Yeah. But I think we could split it that way, and everybody gets to go for most purposes, to their desired location.
Not desired, it's just,
Well, for most, I didn't say everyone. We're not going to
Not
keep everybody
desired.
happy all the time, as we can
it's
tell
all
by
gone,
this
it's all gone
45-minute
back to the
discussion.
same, it's back to the same old story again. It's not desired, it's what you're told you're doing.
I will use the word desired in this case, but
Full of it.
it may not be highly desired, but I think
Not desired.
what it does is it certainly provides an element of fairness. And it gives us coverage of the 4 major events.
Now, do we know who's going where after all this?
Yep,
Great.
I think so. That makes sense.
I'm not saying that word.
At the end of the day, it still reduces our travel.
It does.
It does, and I think that's a good thing.
So add Councilor Middleton.
Yeah. And that way we've got the rest covered off, and everybody is where, doesn't matter where we go, 3 maps. With the exception of KDMA and NOMA, I presume, which will come up later. And which we've always advocated strong participation.
And NOMA's 2 of them, they're spring and fall, right? So we've always kind of divided up evenly on that one too.
Exactly. So, and again, keeping the element of fairness, and still, at the end of the year, we've reduced travel.
With no fairness, with no change.
We are, no, we're reducing travel for Ogra,
Roma.
Amo, and Roma by 1 council.
Don't forget, folks, it was Councillor Goodwill who remembers these days, Councillor Karen May. When we had 6 councillors and a mayor and 2 staff attending these things, it was,
Oh, the mayor never attended. That was.
well,
He used to say, I can't tell you, you know.
So that was,
I can remember being at Good Roads conferences with 7 elected people in attendance. So now we're going to 2 elected people. I think we've come a long ways. I think we have actually reduced our travel considerably.
Ogra, Roma, Amo.
Yes, yeah, everybody's done.
And
Are we good with that? I'm sorry?
When we moved to, when I first came to council, it was, I believe, still the 6 councillors went, but we changed it my first year, I believe, to half, to 3. And then when we went to 4, we changed it to 2, which brought the fall and spring to 2.
No, we've reduced this more than considerably, like a lot. We can draw up the numbers for you, but I know going from 7 elected, 2 elected is a big number to draw. Are we good with that?
Eight, 12.
8, 12, and 13, I believe, have been addressed in the legislature.
Okay?
So we will, again, pull those from the agenda.
You don't want us to do something.
No, it's a moot point.
So you're voting on this separately?
Yeah, so we could ask for, I'm going to ask for separate votes on 12 and 13 in the negative, please. 12, all in favor? Those opposed? Carried. 13, all in favor? Those opposed? Carried. Thanks very much.
Just give me a second.
Okay, call the question, all in favor? That's carried. Thanks very much. Moved by Councilor Moda, second by Councilor Goodway. Resolved, the Council hereby consider all bylaws, Section 9 of Part 1 consent agenda as read without amendment or debate a first and second time. All in favor? That is carried. Be further resolved, moved by Councilor Barron, seconded by Councilor Moda. Resolved, the Council hereby consider all bylaws, Section 9 of Part 1 consent agenda as read a third time and passed. Anyone want to discuss any items set forth in this resolution? We'll start with Councilor Goodway.
I'm okay.
Councilor Barron.
I'm fine.
Councilor Moda.
All my questions answered, thank you.
And Councilor Bill.
I'm fine, Mr. Mayor.
All in favor? What we have now is 10-1. We had a presentation at the Committee of the Whole last Monday afternoon regarding the request for resolution of support, keeping the public service public. Any further discussion or debate? Councilor Middleton.
Yes. I specifically asked the individual that presented this last week if he was only talking about provincially funded programs. His answer was in the affirmative. So I question, he wants to know who we have contracts with as a municipality, why he wants a moratorium on privatizing or outsourcing our municipal services. And I think is there one more further down there? And that they want us to review all of our privatized and outsourced services if he's only concerned with provincial. Strikes me that he did mention also that they are funded by the OPSEU, the Ontario Public Service Employees Union. So it strikes me this may be just a tad self-serving. That's all I have to say at this time.
Enough said. Anyone else? I wish to comment, but I'm going to ask Councilor Barron first.
I listened to his presentation. I was not impressed with his presentation at all because, number one, I think we as a municipality should be able to handle our municipality. And if we can get better deals by contracting our services out to different people, then we should be able to do it. He said his big concern was he was here because he's a provincial union person, but I'm a person who don't understand unions, period. But I think I was elected to sit at this table, and if there's something that is coming to the benefit of the taxpayer to save them money down the road and in the future, I shouldn't be locked in by saying that we can't do it. We should be able to judge it around this table.
I agree.
Councilor Wynn?
Well, I don't know if I'd be, I wasn't here for the presentation, but
Okay.
I sort of have some feelings about it. I have feelings about it,
Okay, please.
so I'd like to vote on it. Just vote.
Okay. I'm strongly opposed to it, in as much as I don't believe an elected body like the municipality of Red Lake should be supporting or non-supporting either a specific political party, a specific movement, whether it be political or religious or anything else, that doesn't reflect all of our citizenry. Furthermore, I think we have an obligation to the ratepayer. And I'm particularly concerned with the last part of his presentation, asking us to review our sources of goods and supply services. I am not going to succumb to any organization with that request. I do not represent one particular political party, one particular organization. I think I was elected to represent every resident of Red Lake. Accordingly, I am strongly opposed to this participation by the municipality, and if the vote is on the table, I will ask for my recorded vote to be in the negative.
So is that what we're doing? We're taking a recorded vote on this resolution?
There's
There's a resolution on the table.
before us.
Withdraws as well.
We can withdraw this in its entirety. It was not on the consent agenda. This came as a result of a presentation by an
information.
individual representing a particular organization.
Belongs to the assembly.
Councilor Mona.
Just a question regarding this, my belief was a referred and deferred item, so it was just for discussion? That
Information.
was all my belief.
It is.
But
It is, but also in credit to our staff for preparing a resolution
Okay.
that was signed and seconded. And
So if we go through a resolution, where does it go?
if it gets to that point, we'll call a question and it'll either be passed in the affirmative or defeated in the negative. Councilor Mendel.
he did mention in his discussion, this resolution, I believe, was part of the papers with
Yeah.
this discussion. And he also mentioned there that he would want a resolution for us, and that one other council, if I remember correctly, I'm not sure what he said, had voted on it right away.
Right in front of him, gave it to
So
him.
they're looking for a resolution from us, which,
Yeah, and if we choose not to do it, we don't vote on the resolution. It's that simple.
Just file it.
Just fine.
I've got the place for that file. So,
This could be just filed from a
Information.
deferred item.
you know, and I would further suggest that when he referred to a community, a particular community that voted on that resolution immediately, if they choose to show their personal stripes in a public forum, that's their business. I don't think that's the way the municipality of Red Lake does business. So,
I have no idea.
Councilor Moda has moved that motion, and Councilor Goodwillie has seconded that motion. I would ask either of the gentlemen if they're prepared to withdraw their signatures from that motion.
I'll withdraw.
That case is settled.
Withdrawn.
And I guess that is pretty much it. Moved by Councilor Goodwillie, seconded by Councilor Barron. Resolved that the council hereby adjourns to meet again in the call of the mayor. All those in favor? Thank you.